Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about account receivable. When actually account receivable arise in our books, when we are using accrual basis of accounting and when we are selling our products to customers on credit. We also call it trade receivables. These are the amounts owed to an entity by its customers. So the recording of receivables linked with the recognition of revenue, the time we recognize the revenue in the books as per accrual method of accounting, immediately receivables going to record in our books. We are categorizing into two categories. One we call current receivables, another we call non-current receivables. So what are the current receivables? Those receivables which we are going to receive within a period of 1 year. So those we call as current receivables. When this period will exceed more than 1 year, this will considered as non-current receivables. So how we report in the books? How we report in the books? Current receivables, we are going to report at net realizable value, and at later stage, we have to learn how to calculate the net realizable value of account receivables. So simply, I'll explain you here the formula for NRV. Net realizable value of account receivable, we will calculate from the gross account receivable. We will subtract provision for bad debts, allowance for sales returns, and any kind of billing adjustment we need to subtract from gross account receivable amount in order to get net realizable value of account receivable. So here I'll just write for your reference provision for bad debts. Bad debts are those receivables which are not recoverable. So how we show current receivable, we show at net realizable value in the balance sheet, and non-current receivables, we have to calculate the net present value of future cash flows, and accordingly we show in the balance sheet. So here mainly we have to talk about current account receivable because non-current receivable in this book we don't have, in this syllabus we don't have. So we will mainly deal with current receivables, how to calculate the different kind of allowances and how to record different kind of accounting entries. One thing we need to recall here, he is giving us a reference that direct method is not allowed as per GAAP. Direct method of recording the bad debt expenses not allowed as per GAAP. So we are going to discuss what is the meaning of direct method and what is the meaning of indirect method. See, very simply, direct method is the one in which you will directly record the bad debts without having any provision for the bad debts. We are not recording any kind of provision for the bad debts in each period. Whenever actually we think bad debts supposed to record, we directly record it as expense. So he is giving us a reference that GAAP does not allow this treatment. We cannot record bad debt expense directly if we are following the GAAP. We must have to adopt the provision method. And why we need to do this one? We are doing this one provision method just to make sure the implementation of matching concept. Like you remember in our previous lectures, we already discussed that. Matching concept says that expenses must be recorded in the same period in which actually it created the benefit for us. So in order to be consistent with matching principle, which says that recognition of expenses must be recorded in the same period in which actually it generated the benefit for us. Same thing later, you will take a look, we will calculate the provision for sales return. So why we are creating the provision for sales return? There again, I am trying to follow the matching concept. Like, let me give you one example in case if I don't follow this concept, if I don't follow the matching concept, what kind of problems we can face? See, we are in the month of Jan, and in the month of Jan, we did the sales say around 1 million. This is over sales. Assume that all the sale is credit sales. Say against this sale in the month of August, you came to know that around 10,000 you cannot recover. Maybe person already died or he ran away from the country. You cannot recover this much amount. So let's take a look in case you are having the provision on estimation basis, 2% of this amount, you already recorded the provision in the month of Jan itself. So which entry you will pass? You will pass this entry, bad debts, expense, debit, and provision or allowance. These are two similar words. Allowance for bad debts, credit. So you will pass the entry with the amount of 20,000. These entries we are going to discuss in detail, but here I'm just giving you the example in case if you don't follow the provision methods, what are the problems which we can face? See, we kept the provision here, say in the month of August, you are fully confirmed that you need to write off this much amount. So which entry you will pass? You will say provision for bad debts, debit, and account receivable, credit with this much amount, 10,000. So you notice that you were already having the provision. So this provision now will reduce with this much amount, 10,000, and there is no impact on the expenses during the month of August. This is the reason because you were already having the provision. So in case if you are keeping the provision, upcoming months will not disturb. So sales actually revenue you generated in the month of Jan. So related expenses must be recorded in the month of Jan itself. So that's why related expenses, even we recorded on estimation basis, that's fine. Like this provision, we recorded on estimation basis. So in case if you don't have provision, assume the whole story I don't have, what will happen? You are adopting the direct method, which is not allowed as per GAAP. So you will say bad debts expense, debit, and account receivable, credit. This is direct method student. When you don't have any kind of provision. So in this case, one side, what's happening, you are not following the matching concept and unnecessary expenses of August will exceed while sales you recorded in another month. So this is the reason different kind of provision, like at later stage, we'll have discussion about provision for warranty, provision for contingencies. Right now we have to discuss provision for sales return, provision for bad debts expenses. So all these provisions we are recording actually to make sure the implementation of matching concept, which says that expenses must be recorded in the same period in which it generated the benefit for us. So let's move to the next level of topic. I hope this is clear for all of you. So next one we have to discuss how to keep the provision for sales return. As I told you, different provisions we are keeping to make sure the implementation of matching concept. So here we are keeping the provision for sales return. In future, you might have sales return. So the month in which sales returns are coming, those particular months should not be affected. Say we are in the month of Jan, we did 1 million sales here, and you expect that 1% of this amount you can have the sales return. So better to record the provision in this month itself. Say you are having some sales returns in the month of April from the sales of Jan. So April month will not affect because you already have provision. So this provision for sales return deducting from the revenue when you are preparing the financial statements. The company has $500,000 of sales in July, its first month of operations. Management estimates that total returns will be 1% of sales. So you might be thinking how we estimate this 1%. See, our history showing us how much sales returns usually we have as per our product problems or other issues or commitment with the clients. So history will let us know how much provision we need to keep. So here they estimated 1%. So 1% of this amount will have 5,000 sales return debit and allows for sales return credit. So here we need to make it clear sales return is our contra revenue account and allowance for sales return is our contra asset. Earlier we said that when we calculate net realizable value of account receivable, so this need to be subtracted allowance for sales return. Sales return we will subtract from our sales in order to get net sales which we will use in our income statement. Next one, students, we are having the methods, how to calculate the provision for the bad debts. So here we are having two methods. One method we call income statement or percentage of sales method, in which we will calculate provision for bad debts by using our credit sales. Income statement approach or percentage of sales method. In income statement approach, we calculate the bad debts expense on the basis of credit sales. So let's go through this example. A company's year-end unadjusted trial balance reports the following thing. Gross account receivable, we are having $100,000. Allowance for uncollectible accounts, we are having 1,000 credit. So mean to say, students, if you make T account, so provision for bad debts, 1,000 we already have credit balance. Sales on credit 250,000. So according to past experience, 1% of company's credit sales have been uncollectible. The company uses the income statement approach to calculate bad debts expense. So they already mentioned that the company using income statement approach. So in this case, we just need to take the percentage of credit sales. So if we take the percentage of credit sales, we are getting how much? 2,500. Mean to say provision need to record with the amount of 2,500. Bad debts expense debit and allows for uncollectible accounts credit. So this one we call indirect method, which is as per GAAP. So 1,000 we were already having, 2,500 additional provision. So the closing balance of provision we are having now 3,500. When we will calculate the net realizable value of account receivable, so how to get it? 100,000 minus 3,500. So 96,500 will show as net figure in our balance sheet. So this was all about income statement approach. Next one, students, we are having balance sheet approach. We also called percentage of receivable method, because in this method we apply the percentage on account receivable instead of credit sales. Here you will have to note down the little difference. Let me explain you after calculating the provision. So here he's saying using the data from previous example, assume that the company uses balance sheet approach, and in balance sheet approach you know that we apply the percentage on account receivable, and that based on the company's experience 6% of account receivables are determined to be uncollectible. So here they they have past experience that 6% of the account receivables remain uncollectible. So mean to say, in order to uh, record the provision for bad debts, we will use this percentage. So how to use it? 6% into 100,000 will get 6,000. One important thing you have to keep in mind, remember when we started the previous example, we were already having the provision for bad debts, 1,000 opening balance. So as it's a balance sheet method, when we applied this percentage, we got 6,000. Mean to say we need closing balance of 6,000. This much closing balance we should have. 1,000 we already have. That's why we will create only 5,000 more. Assume you don't have anything in the opening balance of provision. You were having zero. Then definitely you need to create the provision with the amount of 6,000 in order to make closing balance 6,000. But as you already have 1,000 here, as it's a balance sheet method, so closing balance you need equal to 6,000. So you always have to check how much you already have. Like in certain cases, in certain examples, you will find out that he will give you 1,000 debit balance, mean you already overuse the provision. You know that when we are having the debit balance in provisions, when we overuse the provision. So in that case, the same provision we need to record with the amount of 7,000 so that closing we will have 6,000. So I hope that you are clear about this one. Why we are creating the provision here for 5,000 only, because 1,000 we already have in this example. So you always have to take a look the situation. What's going on? If you don't have anything before, create with the total amount. If you are having debit, then you have to create with the more amount in order to make closing balance of 6,000. So here you are having 1,000, so just create 5,000 more. So bad debts expense debit and allowance for uncollectible accounts credit with the amount of 5,000. So the time you pass this entry of 5,000, like that you are having the closing balance of 6,000, which we will subtract from our gross receivables in order to get net amount of receivables. I hope that you people are clear about this concept. Now the balance sheet method we have to discuss with little variation. Which variation? So it says that it's not advisable to apply the 1% on the whole amount of account receivable. Like earlier you noticed that what we did, 6% I straightforward applied to total amount of receivables. So he's saying it's not advisable because each customer will have different kind of risk. Like in normal circumstances, say you are dealing the account receivable function in your organization. So sometimes we are having very good customers who will pay on time, and we can never expect some sort of problem from these customers. So better to keep low percentage regarding those customers. So in this case, what's advisable? He's saying to keep the more accurate provision, because provision, whatever the amount you are going to calculate as a result of this provision, it is going to record as expense. So we should not overstate our expense. We must have to calculate the accurate provisions. So he's saying in order to be more accurate, better go with aging concept. So those people, so here we split up over 100,000 as per the number of days. So less than 30 days, only 70,000, 2%. Because within 30 days, there are less chances, there is less risk involved regarding bad debts. So that's why only 2%. 30 to 60 days, 5%. In the same pattern, I'm going to increase the percentage. And those receivables already cross 90 days, 20% I'm keeping. Because here the risk level increasing already over 90 days. So I need to be more careful right now about these kind of people. So in this case, you notice that the net amount we are getting 4,000, and you remember when we read the question before, 1,000 we were already having provision for bad debts. 1,000 we were already having. So here we will create 3,000 more in order to make it 4,000. So that's why in this case, I am recording the entry with the amount of 3,000, not 4,000. So like that, the net realizable value of our receivables, we will have 96,000. I hope that you are fully clear about methods how to calculate provision for bad debts. Now we have to discuss the entries as you already have idea. When we record the provision, as we discussed, bad debts, debit, and allowance or provision. This is credit. This is the entry when we record the provision for bad debts. Say here, this is the entry for write-off. We give debit to provision or allowance, and we give the credit to our account receivable. So write-off has no impact on the expenses, because which accounts are going to be affected as a result of write-off? This is our contra asset account, opposite to asset, and this is our asset account. So write-off not going to affect our expenses. Write-offs do not affect the carrying amount of net account receivable, because the reduction of gross account receivable and the allowance are same amount going to reduce. So they also have no effect on working capital. So this important point you have to keep in mind, as both are reducing with the same amount, so no impact on working capital. Another important entry which we have to discuss, in case previously written off, we are recovering, how to record it in the books. Say you already write off the receivable, but in case someone want to pay. So how to record it? Cash debit, and amount you will return back to the provision. So he's saying bad debt expense is not affected when an account receivable is written off, or when an account previously written off becomes collectible. So here, if previously written off, we collect it back, we will put it back to the provisions, cash debit, and allowance for uncollectible accounts, credit. Here we are having the statement for bad debts expense, provision for bad debts. See, normally when the questions coming, but it's advisable you should make the D account. But here we are understanding through statement form, just to know that what are the things increase over allowance for uncollectible accounts, and what are the things decrease over allowance for uncollectible accounts. Say we are having the beginning balance for provision. Whenever we record the bad debts expense, say we record through this entry, bad debts expense debit and allowance for bad debts credit. Through this entry, we record. So whenever we record the bad debts expense, there is addition in our provision. Whenever we write off, you know that write off we are doing through this entry provision debit and account receivable credit. Provision and allowance are alternative words we are using by time to time. So whenever we do the write off, it reduce our provision. And whenever we collect the previously write off, it increase our provision again, as we earlier said, cash debit and provision for bad debts credit. That's all. Next video we will upload about the questions related to the account receivable. Thank you.